So we're back again for another round of racing here at VSK. Just signed in, getting ready for the briefing, and then we will be out on track, which you'll see right now.
So starting up the kart for the qualifying session, I'm one of two drivers who has a cold kart, which means this kart has not been run, the tires are not warmed up, and everyone else gets to start on warm tires, so that sucks. But we're gonna make the best of it. I'm gonna do some very aggressive swerving on my few laps that I do have to warm it up, and hope that I can get this thing up to temperature quicker than the rest. Side to side, it was a very bright, very sunny day outside. I ended up getting really badly sunburnt, so next time I need to wear longer sleeves and put on some sunscreen. You can see the track was freshly washed by some rain, so it's not as grippy as you'd think it'd be. The heat doesn't make the tires all that great at sticking to the road either. You can overheat. The kart won't be happy if you overheat. And it'll definitely slow down your laps. But yeah, starting on a cold kart is awful, because the kart is just not at pace. You can't get maximum out of the kart. Not only that, but it's 27, and you'll see why that matters later on. So we're on a lap here. Someone's gonna make the dive up the inside. I'm just gonna try and follow them. I was getting past all qualifying session. You can already see a little bit. You just pull away very aggressively out of the corner. I'm much quicker through this section. I get a much better, or about the same exit, but you can see he just pulls away. 27 was so far off the pace, and a lot of other drivers agreed with me when I spoke about it. But it just was not a good kart. It did not have the pace it needed in order to set a good lap. But we're still going to try our best and see what we can do. Going around corners 3 now into 4. Deep dive on the brakes. This car didn't even need the brakes for that corner. It didn't get up to high enough speed for it. Down into the hairpin. This is where I was quicker than a lot of other drivers. And then onto the straightaway, just trying to benefit from that slipstream all I can, but you can see how far away he is already, how quickly he pulls away in that kart. And our lap today was only a 41. We were less than 3 thousandths off of the next guy, and we did not make Group A. So it's front row for Group B.
Fire him up, guys!
So it's a better kart here for the first round of Group B. We're going out. We're just going to get the car nice and warm. It did teach me a lot this weekend with the sun being so hot. Something I will have to keep in mind for next week is we have to worry about tires overheating. These conditions are very hot, and towards the end of the race, you're starting to lose grip, depending on how aggressive you drive. So you got to be very careful with that. Going through, just taking it nice and slow. I am the lead driver, so I dictate the pace for the formation lap. There's no reason to rush ahead and have to sit on the grid for extra time. So you can see just lifting, letting the kart settle, and then bringing it over toward the line for the race start. Just gonna stop right on the right side. The right is a lot better than the left, so as long as I'm going when the flag is waved, I'll be good. And it's green, green, green. Green flag, and away we go for the 5th round of running here at VSK. A little bit of bumping at the start, just getting a squeeze from the guy in P2. And he's still just going to push me through the corners, side by side here, but that little bit of a bump and that little bit of a slide slowed me down enough for him to make the move. Now into the next corner, the guy is just going to dive it up the inside. I was already getting ready to turn in. I just had to avoid that. Down into the hairpin. We're gonna see if we can make up these places now. As you can see, that guy is rapid. I believe he got a good kart for this race. Much better than P2 and P1, me and the other guy. So we're gonna have to work together and see what we can do. Down into turn 2, he's just gonna drift wide and collect the guy. You can see he raises his hand, he's upset with it, but knowing the stewards at this place, it's not gonna be anything for that. It was a minor collision. It's hard to make a judgment when you're just watching the race from the side. But down onto the straightaway, we're gonna see what we can do. We get a much better exit than the guy in P2. We can still finish on the podium. We can still finish with good points. Just bump drafting him down the straightaway, there's not gonna be space. In fact, he pushes me into the wall there. I just have to back out. Now down into the second corner. He makes a little bit of a mistake, I think, about the inside, but it's now turned to the outside for the sweeping left-hander. I'm gonna see if I can get a switchback, but I don't have enough of a run. Just brake a little bit earlier and concede that move and not go for it. Now down to the hairpin. A good exit is what I'm looking for. I'm a little bit wider on entry, a little bit narrower on exit, and that's gonna let me get a much better run through the second half. Now right on his bumper once again. I'm gonna pull to the inside line this time. Let's see if he leaves space. And just turning in a little bit early, I'm gonna give him a push just to let him know I'm here. Next guy sends a dive bomb. There's nothing I can do. I have to swerve to avoid it. You can see I'm upset with it. Now going down the inside, I should have an easy time making the move. Just running a little bit wide, don't leave any more space, and he tries to just send it everywhere. Just late on the brakes where he's not gonna make the corner. It's dangerous, but we make it by. Now onto the straightaway, you can see how much time that lost us. That unnecessary battling has sent us back. We're still P3 though, we still get to stand on the podium if we finish in these positions. I am steadily closing in on the guy ahead, just little by little, lap by lap. The guy behind is no longer a worry. He's completely lost the rear end of my kart. I was a much quicker driver than a lot of others. The guy in first place was running the quickest pace for this race though. Coming onto the straightaway, we're going to get a small benefit from the slipstream, but it's not a whole lot from this distance. We're going to really start to see it once we get farther into the laps. Just closing in little by little, you can see the distance between us has shrunk. And especially as we get into the slower speed sections, you'll see where that distance is relative to last lap. Just closing in every corner, every corner. And now we are close enough to get that slipstream. We're gonna get dragged along behind him. Going a little bit narrower through that first corner, just compromising enough for the second. That gives me a better exit. And you can see, we're right here with him. He's gonna start to feel the pressure as soon as we get closer. 1 or 2 laps. That's all we need. We're closing in steadily. You can see the distance shrinking little by little, especially as we get into the braking zone. The slower the speed, the smaller the distances. And we are right here with him by now. We might even have to compromise our braking zone. Right on his bumper. We're side by side for a little bit. And now right here with him on the straight, we're just gonna have to bump him. There's nothing we can do. Just a little bit of a bump draft to get us both going quicker. There was no space to make a move. You can see, clattering the walls, you can see how far we're pushing it. Using all of the available track space. In fact, he bangs the wall there. That gives him a little bit of a slowdown. We are right on his bumper, but you don't want to start battling just yet. If we make the move, we want to make it in one fell swoop. He goes to the inside here. He's going to get an awful run into the straightaway. If I can preserve the speed long enough, I can preserve the overspeed long enough, I can make a move down the inside, and I'm going to do that, making it side by side through the first corner. Later on the brakes, more committed on the brakes, leaving just a car width on the outside. He backs out, and I take the racing line. That's P2 for me. Now it's just about holding this position and seeing what I can do in getting away from this guy. P1 has already well ran away with it. He didn't get a penalty this race, unfortunately. Although, that dive bomb certainly deserved one. Going down onto the straightaway, we were hitting about 44, almost 45 miles per hour today. We're doing 40-second lap times. So compared to last month, where 39s were reigning supreme, it's definitely a different change in pace. Just getting through the corners nice and smooth, as close to the walls as I can manage. A big focus of mine has just been being able to push flat out for a full race distance, both in the sim and real life. And I've been doing a whole lot better about it. Last month, I was one of the quickest drivers. This month, let's be one of the quicker drivers. Now down onto the straightaway, looking behind me just briefly, but I don't have to look very far. He's very far back. It's an easy P2 if I just keep this up. Bouncing a little bit as I go over the speed limit. The kart not happy with that. But I have all but mitigated the bouncing from my driving technique. And I'm very glad for it. It was just not enough braking and too much steering. See a little bit of a bounce there, but that's alright. That's right on the limit of what I can allow. Now down into the straightaway once more. We're steadily pulling away from the guy ahead. It's white flag, so final lap. If I can finish here, I earn P2. P2 is still great points for me. I'm fighting for top 10 in the Saudi World Series. In the Vegas Superkart Saudi World Series. International, I'm nowhere near the top. They are running some crazy pace. Now diving it into the hairpin once more. Just a little bit of a skip with the kart, but that's alright. I'm going to hold the inside, just shorten the line as much as I can. Or not. Running it all the way to the outside wall. It's across the checkered flag. P2 for race 1 of the day. That's not bad at all. Bringing it in nice and easy. The guy behind was definitely not happy with the first place guy, but there's nothing you can do there. If they choose not to do a penalty, then they choose not to do a penalty. Give them the thumbs up, saying good job. And on to the second race of the day, the one that determines the podium and the one that determines the rewards for the race. Sending it out, the guy who finished first gets to start first, and I get to start second because I started second, or because I finished second. On the formation lap, I decided not to warm my tires at all. I think this was the right choice. The tires were overheating last race a lot, especially towards the end. And you can see just doing little swerves just to keep the tires where I want them. I don't want to overdo it in these conditions where grip is already hard to come by. I got a much better kart for this race. 4 was definitely on the pace. And the guy ahead, I'm not sure what kart he ended up with, but we're going to see what we can do as we bring it to the end of the formation lap and onto the grid for the race start. Pulling neatly into my spot, getting ready for the flag to be waved. And it's 3, 2, 1, green flag, away we go. I get a better launch than the guy in first place. I'm just gonna send him a little bit to the inside. He's gonna push me out. He's gonna push me into the barrier. What was that? Watching the positions go by, if you count them, I lost 10 positions in one incident. We're gonna have to make a comeback here though. Back of the grid now, there's no place lower I can go. The guy in first place is definitely getting a penalty for that. Let's see if we can benefit from it. Going down the inside of the car ahead, following the guy in the green helmet. It's a bundle of cars up ahead. It's very hard for me to get through. The guy on the outside just pushing me, not leaving enough space, just leaning against my cart, signaling him, go, go, go. I don't want to fight. I don't want to waste time fighting. But he's much slower out of the corner. He waves a hand. And I do get passed for it. It does not help my race in the slightest to have drivers passing me. And it doesn't help in the slightest that I'm not making overtakes as quickly as I should be. Going a little bit narrow. These guys are not on the same pace that I was running. I should have an easier time making overtakes, making moves. See, he just sends it back up the inside. I'm not holding that position. I'm gonna give him a bump down the straightaway, try and keep all the speed I can. Now for the inside. He looks over, sees me. He leaves the space. He didn't have to. Nice and respectful from him. Down into the second turn, just a lot of bouncing as I go over the speed. And a weird mistake from him drags him to the outside. I have the inside line for the next corner, and I'm just gonna stay in there, but I'm gonna lose a position for it as well. I get pushed out onto the wall. No penalty for that guy for that. It's a dirty move, but there's nothing I can do about it. I've just gotta make back the positions. We're dead last once again. You can see, looking back behind me, there's no one there. Shaking my head in disapproval. By this point, I started to drive a little bit angry. I was very upset. So I started to push very, very hard. You'll see in how I move the cart, how I drive the cart. Just driving with a little bit more aggression than otherwise would. Going for moves that I wouldn't. This guy just pushes me again. Very little awareness. We're gonna make the move on the green helmet guy. Going around the outside. He's just gonna push us out wide though. He's not gonna leave the space. He's upset. I'm upset. I'm gonna give him a little bit of a bump down the straightaway. Just pull back into the slipstream. And by this point, I'm losing so much time that I could be using to catch up. He makes a mistake down into turn 2. I'm gonna take advantage of that and I'm gonna go right on by. Now, diving it into this corner. This whole section for me is where I'm strong, especially down into the hairpin. Signaling the driver behind, I just want to make up positions, I just want to move forward. I don't want to fight. Whether he listens to it or not is up to him, but he has nothing to lose by listening. Now down into the straightaway, I've pulled a sizable gap to the guy behind. I'm not paying any attention to him anymore. Getting a much better run through the first corner. You can see just how much quicker I am around the track. Pulling right up behind this guy. We're gonna see if we can make the move just as we did before. Down into the corner and into the sweeping right-hander. A much better run. I'm gonna send it up the inside here. And I'm gonna go all the way to the left to make sure I cover off the next move. And we're through on that guy. A much better run onto the straightaway than this guy. We're gonna get side by side and we're gonna get ahead before he waves me through. Very respectful driving from him. He wants to just follow. He doesn't want to lose any extra places. Now down into turn 2 and into the sweeping left-hander of 3. We're steadily closing in on the cars ahead. We're recovering a lot of positions here. It's been a good performance so far, albeit the poor start definitely threw us to the back. Now down to the hairpin. This is where you can see a lot of gains to the cars ahead. You can see the cart just skipping out from under me. sliding in these conditions. It's alright, I was alright with it. You can see going left just to hold a higher speed than that guy and be able to make the move into the first corner. I look behind me once, he's not able to be close enough to make the move. And I'm moving on to the next drivers already. Through the sweeping left-hander, they're very slow. They're squeezing me against the wall. Almost not enough space left. I'm gonna keep my nose in it. And I'm just gonna show him the same thing. Just put him right against the wall, make him uncomfortable. Now down into the hairpin, I get the move. And I'm gonna try and make the move on the red helmet guy by getting a better exit out onto the straightaway. And you can see the slipstream doing me so many favors here. But at the same time, it was too much too soon. But he's gonna make a weird mistake into the braking zone. I'm gonna send it up the inside. A little bit of rubbing, but I don't think I was at fault for that. Through on the inside for turns 2. We've made up a whole bunch of positions here. We're about P6, P5, one or the other, I don't remember. But we're making up good points here despite it. We have the fastest lap of the race. We were the fastest driver of the race. And we were almost on par with the fastest laps that Group A was doing. A whole class quicker than us. I was less than 2/10 off of the day record. So I was running phenomenal pace here in Group B. Now down to the second corner and into the third. We're gonna see if we can close in on the guys ahead quick enough before that white flag goes out, before the checker comes out. I want as many positions as I can get. And the first half of the race was spent behind slower drivers, so I have a lot of room to catch back up. A lot of time was lost here today. But let's see if I can recover anything. You can see them getting ready to show the white flag. It's not quite yet. Next lap is final lap. So I have 2 laps to make up as many positions as I can. The guys behind can't keep with me. The guys ahead are slower than me, but I'm just not closing in quick enough. I'm not going to be able to make it unless a big mistake happens. We got to hope for that mistake, though. We got to hope. Down onto the straightaway for the second to last time through the penultimate corner. It's white flag. Final lap of racing here at VSK. See what we can do. Down into the second corner, just closing in on the guy ahead. You can see how much closer he is this lap compared to last. I was so quick this race, but I'm just not able to make up enough time. You can see he's not losing that much. He'd have to be losing a second, 2 seconds per lap to me in order for me to make up that gap. And coming across the line for the final time, we're not gonna be able to make up our starting position. That first lap incident really set us up for failure. The worst part for me, the worst sting of all this, is that the guy who took me out still gets to finish first. He stood on the podium and got the medal, despite taking out his main opponent in the race. There's some parts about VSK that just need improvement. It's fantastic racing when it's right. The staff is friendly, the karts are good, but there's just those small issues that just upset everyone, upset drivers. Just make the racetrack a less enjoyable place to be. And that's where improvement is needed. Going back to this first lap incident, we got off the line all right. In fact, we're much quicker off the line than P1. We go over to the right, just squeeze them a little bit narrow, just making sure that they know we're here. Side by side right now. And then as soon as we make contact here, I'm just pushed out into the barrier. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then here comes 10 positions lost. 10 positions lost in a single incident. It's so upsetting. And I argued it with the stewards afterwards. I feel like a 10 or a 15-second penalty would have been more appropriate for this situation. Making a driver lose 10 positions by shunting them into the anchor in the wall, that's just not the type of driving we want to see here. That's not the type of driving you ever want to see. And the guy apologized afterwards. I get it. It happens. Mistakes happen. That's why penalties are here. They're not for you doing something on purpose. They're for you doing a small mistake that just has big consequences. And in this situation, there needed to be more done. There needed to be something extra done for that, because that was just unreasonable. And I hate to leave the video on a sour note. I will come back stronger next month. I learned a lot about pushing the kart to the edge, and a lot about how to make those aggressive overtakes and make them stick. So I'll be here next month, and I'll make a good push for it, because I'm fighting for top 10 in the local SOTY World Series. And if I can do that, I'll be very happy.